Project management in operations. Fundamentals of project management. Project planning and scheduling. Fundamentals of project management. Whether implementing a new production line, optimizing a supply chain, or launching a new service offering, projects are the vehicles through which operational improvements and strategic goals are realized. It ensures that operational initiatives are completed on time, within budget, and to the required specifications, ultimately contributing to enhanced organizational performance. Fundamentals. Purpose and objective. The primary purpose of understanding project management fundamentals in operations is to equip operations professionals with the knowledge and tools to plan, execute, and control projects efficiently and effectively. Define what constitutes a project within an operations environment. Explain the core principles and concepts of project management. Outline the typical project process flow. Summarize the key takeaways regarding project management fundamentals. Describe the distinct phases of the project lifecycle. Elucidate the role of operations in the successful execution of projects. Project lifecycle and key stages. Understanding this lifecycle provides a roadmap for managing the project effectively. While the number and names of the stages can vary depending on the industry and methodology, a common framework includes: First, initiation. This is where the project is conceived and formally authorized. Key activities include defining the project scope at a high level, identifying stakeholders, and developing a business case. The output of this stage is typically a project charter or similar authorization document. Second, planning. In this phase, the project objectives are refined, and a detailed plan is created to guide the team. It involves defining tasks, estimating resources and timelines, developing a budget, identifying risks, and building communication and quality management plans. Third, execution. This is where the project work is carried out as defined in the project management plan. The project team performs the tasks, manages resources, and produces the project deliverables. Fourth, monitoring and controlling. This phase runs concurrently with execution and involves tracking the project's progress, comparing it against the plan, and taking corrective actions when necessary. Key activities include performance reporting, change control, and risk monitoring. Fifth, closure. This final phase involves formally ending the project. Activities include finalizing all deliverables, obtaining stakeholder acceptance, conducting a post-project review, documenting lessons learned, and releasing project resources. Role of operations in project execution. Operations are essential in successfully executing projects, particularly those focused on improving or transforming operational processes. Their involvement extends beyond simply being the recipients of project outcomes. Key aspects of the role of operations in project execution include: 1. Providing subject matter expertise. Operations personnel possess in-depth knowledge of existing processes, equipment, and workflows. Their expertise is key during the planning and execution phases to ensure that project solutions are practical, feasible, and aligned with operational realities. 2. Resource allocation and management. Operations often provide key resources, including personnel, equipment, and facilities, for project execution. Effective coordination and management of these resources by operations are essential to avoid disruptions to ongoing activities and ensure project progress. 3. Process integration. Many operations projects aim to implement new or improved processes. Operations teams are responsible for integrating these changes into their daily routines and ensuring long-term sustainability. Their buy-in and active participation are critical for successful adoption. 4. Change management. Projects often involve significant changes to how work is performed. 5. Performance monitoring and feedback. Once a project is implemented, operations are typically responsible for monitoring its performance and providing feedback on its effectiveness. This information is valuable for evaluating the project's success and identifying areas for further improvement. 6. Ensuring operational continuity. Even as projects are being executed, operations must maintain the continuity of existing processes. Project planning and scheduling. In this broader domain, meticulous planning and scheduling are critical phases. These processes transform abstract project goals into actionable roadmaps, ensuring tasks are identified, sequenced logically, and assigned appropriate timelines and resources. Purpose and objective. Project planning and scheduling primarily aim to establish a clear and realistic pathway to achieve project goals within defined constraints, such as time, budget, and resources. The objectives of this phase are to 1. Define scope and activities, identify all the tasks and deliverables required to complete the project. 2. Establish dependencies, determine the logical relationships and sequence of project activities. 3. Allocate resources, assign appropriate human, financial, and material resources to each task. 4. Develop a timeline, create a realistic schedule with start and end dates for each activity and the overall project. 5. Identify potential bottlenecks, proactively recognize potential delays or resource conflicts to prevent them from occurring. 6. Provide a baseline for monitoring, establish a benchmark against which project progress can be tracked and controlled. Project planning and scheduling, process flow. The process of project planning and scheduling typically involves the following key steps. 1. Project definition, clearly articulate the project's objectives, scope, and deliverables. It forms the foundation for all subsequent planning activities. 2. Work breakdown structure, decompose the project into smaller, more manageable tasks and subtasks. This hierarchical structure facilitates better organization and assignment of responsibilities. 3. Activity sequencing, determine the logical order in which project activities must be performed. It involves identifying dependencies between tasks. A task cannot start until its predecessor is complete. Techniques like precedence diagrams can be used here. 4. Resource estimation, estimate the type and quantity of resources, human, equipment, materials, etc., required for each activity. 5. Activity duration estimation. Estimate the time required to complete each activity, taking into account resource availability and potential constraints. Various techniques, such as analogous estimating, parametric estimating, and three-point estimating, can be employed. 6. Schedule development, integrate the sequenced activities, resource allocations, and duration estimates to create a comprehensive project schedule. 7. Budgeting, develop a project budget based on the estimated costs of resources and activities. 8. Risk assessment and planning, identify potential risks that could impact the project schedule and develop corresponding mitigation strategies to address them. 9. Schedule control, establish processes for monitoring project progress, comparing it against the baseline schedule, and taking corrective actions when necessary. Work breakdown structures. It represents a hierarchical decomposition of the complete scope of work to be undertaken by the project team, thereby facilitating the achievement of project objectives and the production of necessary deliverables. It essentially organizes and defines the entire project into smaller, more manageable components that provide a clear and structured framework that facilitates 1. Scope definition, ensuring all necessary work is identified and included in the project. 2. Task assignment, assigning responsibilities for specific deliverables. 3. Resource allocation, providing a basis for estimating and allocating resources to individual tasks. 4. Time and cost estimation, enabling more accurate estimations at lower levels of the structure. 5. Progress monitoring, providing a framework for tracking progress at different levels of detail. 6. Communication, enhancing communication and understanding among project stakeholders. The work breakdown structure typically starts with the overall project goal at the highest level. It progressively breaks it down into major deliverables, sub-deliverables, and finally, work packages or activities. The lowest level work packages should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Project planning and scheduling, resource allocation and leveling. Resource allocation assigns necessary resources, human, equipment, materials, and financial, to activities in the project schedule, ensuring each task has what it needs to be completed effectively and efficiently while considering availability, skills, and cost. Resource leveling is a technique that optimizes resource utilization throughout the project lifecycle. It aims to resolve resource overallocation, when a resource is required for multiple tasks simultaneously beyond its capacity, and smooth out resource demands. It can prevent bottlenecks, reduce project delays, and improve resource efficiency. Why is resource leveling important? 1. Prevention of overload, guarantees that no individual resource is allocated a workload exceeding its capacity at any given moment. 2. Improves efficiency. By smoothing out demand, resources can be utilized more consistently, resulting in reduced idle time and improved overall efficiency. 3. Reduces conflicts, minimizes conflicts arising from competition for the same limited resources. 4. Cost management, this can help avoid the need for expensive temporary resources or overtime. 5. Realistic scheduling, creates a more realistic and achievable project schedule by accounting for resource constraints. Techniques for resource leveling. Delaying non-critical activities, rescheduling the start dates of non-critical tasks, those that do not impact the project's overall completion date, to coincide with periods when the required resources are available. Adjusting activity durations, in some cases, the duration of an activity may be extended to optimize resource utilization. Splitting activities, breaking down a significant activity into smaller segments that can be performed at different times to manage resource demand. Reallocating resources. If possible, shift resources from less critical tasks to those causing bottlenecks. Resource allocation and leveling are iterative processes that often require trade-offs between project timelines and resource efficiency. Project management software tools typically offer features to support these tasks, enabling project managers to visualize resource utilization and make necessary adjustments to the schedule. Remember, the more you learn, the more you earn. Never stop learning. Life never stops teaching.